Fooled you. Totally thought it was a Big Bud video, didn't you? No. Next time. Still waiting on a radiator. But let's go get something else that's big. Weighs actually as much as that thing does. 50,000 pounds. We use it a lot on this farm. And it's kind of a mutant. It's not the prettiest thing, but it's awesome. And it leaks a lot of oil right now. All over the ground. Every time you park it. Giant lake of it. Getting tired of it. Ran out of oil in transmission a couple times because of it. So it's time to get this fixed. We're in the shop. It's winter. Let's do some wrenching. And before we get out there, this video is brought to you by SimpliSafe. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Let's go. Hey girl, how you doing? Been sitting here a while. I know. It's okay. We'll get her used. Gotta pet the deer too. Good deer. Good deer. I do very much like this loader. It's doing a lot of work for me on my house site, and it's moved a lot of rock lines. And there's a lot more dirt that needs moved. So we like to keep this thing running. For those that don't know, we swapped out the old V8 that was in this bad boy and put in an 8.3 liter Cummins in it. And it's perfect for what it is, but it's got some fuel pump issues, so occasionally it does some weird stuff. But it likes to start, so let's put that to the test. Boom! Yeah. You know, I do like old mechanical stuff, old mechanical injection pumps, and you know, it's nice sometimes being away from all that electronics, being that chip shortages are a thing these days. But I'll tell you what, a fuel injected engine that's computer controlled, they sure start nice in the cold. 57, we're warming up slowly. Let's see if it'll lose some hydraulics here. Lift. Lift. No lift. Push down. Nothing. Lift. Nope. It needs a little throttle. Just a little bit. I'll just hold it. I've noticed this pump, it's a variable, there it goes. Variable vane pump. And it takes a second, especially when it's all cold. And then all of a sudden the hydraulics will start working. There she goes. There we go. Okay, well let's put her in drive. Hopefully transfer's got enough oil and we can get her over to the shop. The wheels are just barely turning. We're at 77 degrees Fahrenheit. I like to get it over 100 degrees Fahrenheit before you start throttling it up much. Let things warm up a little bit, so we'll get back to this in a second. So see you now. All right. She's all warmed up. I don't have to worry about cold iron as I'm climbing around underneath there. And there's a fresh puddle of oil on the ground, which is a good sign, because that means I can hopefully find the wet spot that's leaking. Let's go underneath, find out what's going on. Let's get her fixed. I do love the size of that bucket. Man. Awesome. All right, wet on the bottom of the transmission. There's fresh oil. She smells like Hitran. She's wet right there. A little wet there. A little dirty under here, but definitely running off the side right here. And unfortunately, this is gonna be more difficult than I thought it was gonna be, because it's not the hose that's leaking, though it's a little wet right there at that hose clamp. I could probably tighten that a little bit. It's leaking out of this shift linkage spline shaft right there, which means it's a seal. And I'm gonna have to try to source that and fix that. It could be an O-ring too, but all right, well, that's not what I planned on doing. Also looks like the output shaft on the torque converter is leaking as well. It's probably the seal, because the rear axle's got some liquid leaking off of it as well. But I'm not going to worry about that one because this is the biggest leak right here. So let's take care of this one first. I got my handy dandy little mirror here, and I'm just looking up in to see what kind of seal is in there. I can't tell. It looks like there might be a snap ring. But that's going to be tough. I got to take that bracket off the spline shaft, the arm that throws it, and then clean up a little more in there and feel in there. And I should drain the oil out of the transmission because I think that's above the level there. So let's keep going.
SimpliSafe on. Home.
This is a SimpliSafe home security system. This is what we use to take care of all the stuff in our shop that, well, we don't want burnt, lost, stolen. So with that said, we've got sensors spread out through the entire building. And if one of them is triggered, like say a smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, motion sensor, glass break sensor, you name it, door jam sensor, and we've got the system armed or unarmed, depending on what the sensor is, a highly trained team will get in touch with you and will also alert authorities and send EMT, police, firefighters, whatever it needs to be to take care of the situation. So for less than $1 a day, you can have one of these. And you can go online and customize one, have it sent directly to your door in a box, and you get to set it up in a short time. It's not bad at all. No drilling holes, just everything sticks, batteries, pull it, boom, good, go. 24/7 professional monitoring is now powered by Fast Protect technology, exclusively from SimpliSafe when a threat is detected. No long-term contracts, so you can start and stop at any time. And one of my favorite parts about the whole system is the app. Real easy to use, keeps tabs on everything. If I want to pull up the camera, just press a button, loads a second, and boom, live footage directly to your phone. That's sweet. Save 40% on a SimpliSafe security system during SimpliSafe's biggest sale of the year. It's 40%. Just visit simplisafe.com/Welker Farms and customize yours now. And remember, there's no safe like SimpliSafe. Okay. Bolt out. Get this all the way out. There we go. Just about there. Oh yeah. That was it. Okay. All right, so here's what I'm dealing with. So it's the transmission brake. It's basically a parking brake. This is the linkage that I took off the spline shaft, so you can see. Anyways, that seal is embedded so deep inside the housing of that transmission, I can barely get my pinky finger in there to touch it. So, I don't know how I'm gonna pull that seal out. It's like one of those jobs you gotta do when the transmission's literally out of the loader on the bench somewhere. Okay, clean this up. I heard metal chunks fall down in there. I wonder what that's from. You go clunk, 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 clunk. Oh, there's filings. About 40. Oh, here's Scott. So it turns out there is a snap ring I gotta take off to get to the O-ring. Like I'm just informed that he already did that once, so I'm gonna do it a second time. And then on top of that, this hose here is cracked and breaking somewhere down here, so I got to replace that as well. And if I remember correctly, that baby is in a really tight spot that is super hard to access, and I'm gonna have to get up between the engine and torque converter to get to it. So that's gonna be fun. But before I get all crazy greasy and oily, let's get this O-ring and seal fixed here, and then I'll take that apart and get a new line on there. And then there's a screen in this transmission. I found a filing when I took out the cap. I didn't like what I saw, so I heard a couple things hit the bucket. That's not a good sign. So yeah, I'll get the magnet in there and see if I can find out what that is, and then check the screen and see if the screen's got filings in it too. If it does, I don't know, maybe it'll be in the market for transmission soon. Hope not. Just tighten that. I guess I get to push it up like that. There it goes.
You know, we could just go ahead and put a T instead of that elbow.
We're right here?
Yeah, and then put the plug out this way and the hose can go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do that. I have got to figure out if I can get, I got some room in here. get that snap ring out. I don't know about this. I've been trying for like 30 minutes to get the snap ring out. I did find it. There was like a little dust cover that was in front of it, and that's why I couldn't tell if it was a snap ring or not. And I'm blind. I'm just fiddling around with these snap ring maneuvers, hoping that I can hopefully find the 2 holes to get into it and pull it apart and get it out without it popping out on me. I'll show you what I'm dealing with. This is my view. Okay, there's the shaft, and somewhere in here is a snap ring. It's in there. I'm trying. Once in a while I'll get one of the teeth from this thing in it. I think I get one in there. No. I don't know how wide I should be. I can pull a mirror up and I can look at it occasionally, but I don't have 3 hands to hold. Ooh, did I get one in there? No. I don't know if the snap ring tool I've got is too big. This is a lot of fun. It's definitely very clean in here too, so I'm not getting covered in grease, if you guys are wondering. It took some finessing, but we got her. What a bugger. I'll put that there. Now, the seal. What am I dealing with for a seal? Can you guys see it? I can't see it. It's in there somewhere. There's a seal. I gotta try to get it out and see if we can find something different, so let's keep working on it. There's the shaft. And is the seal in there? There is no seal.
Oh, maybe it fell in.
There's no seal. It's just I feel the snap ring, and then there's another ring after it, and there's nothing. That's my finger. That's inside the.
Well, then that's what happened. Must have fell in.
Oh yeah, it's just an open chasm. There's nothing in there. Well, there was no seal on it, so hard to say what happened to it. Here's the end I was at. Snap ring held this in, so I pulled the whole unit out, and the seal rode. You can see a discolorization right there. So I gotta try to find something to fit in there in the housing, but I think Legrams had fixed this a while back, and maybe when he pushed it in, it pushed the old seal out, but there was no seal when we took this out. So I'm gonna see if I can find something that might fit in that. All right, I got a couple O-rings here we're gonna try. I'm sure it's not the flat face that was originally in there, but I'm sure finding parts for this girl is not the easiest on the planet right now, because this isn't a very common loader. So we'll just try to put these in there and see if we can make it work. So if you look right here, that's a seal that I'm trying to find, or O-ring to put in there. It's square, and it's right next to the snap ring groove, and it's just a groove. And I can't find anything that would work, and if you put anything in there that's bigger, when you push this shaft, and it's just gonna roll it and push it out, it's gonna drop down inside the transmission. So what we thought is, well, I don't know why they didn't do this originally. This shaft doesn't spin very much at all. It just turns like that much. It's just the parking brakes, all this is. So I'm gonna take this sort of lathe, and I'm gonna lathe out a groove on this hardened steel here, just enough to slip this O-ring over. It'll rest in the groove on here and will slightly stick out beyond the diameter of this, the outer diameter. And then when we push it in, it'll squeeze that O-ring just barely. If it makes it past these 2 notches, then it'll seal right to the left of that original O-ring spot right there. Make sense? I think this is the only way we got. We got a lathe, so let's do it. Turned out my bit was just really wore, so I put a new one on it, started cutting that metal really nice. But as you can see, I'm sticking up just a little bit. I don't know, that might still be a little tight. Maybe let the expert see what he thinks. Is that still a little too much? I need to dig it down a little deeper.
It depends on how much you can feel like you can squeeze that in.
Feel squished down.
Yeah. It's gonna be tight, but it might.
Might take off just a hair more.
Oh.
Try
It's
it.
got to fit in that other groove.
I mean,
too.
it'll skip across the snap ring groove, and then it's going to skip across the original seal groove, and then it's going to hopefully, but I don't think it's going to roll out of there. It's pretty.
It ain't gonna roll. You're
Yeah.
going to have a time pushing it in. So
Yeah.
I mean, you could try it just to see. Grease her up
Let's see if it'll slide in there.
and oil it, and then
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if I'd do much more. I could probably do it from here.
Doesn't want to go in anymore.
I could do that if you want to tap on it.
Okay, I could try that. Yeah. Just a tap on it a little bit. No, something's not right. Let me pull this out. And take a look in there and just see if it's how it's lining up again. That one piece might have moved. Okay, yeah, it's off to the side. So it needs shoved over your way. And then I think it'll pop through. That's not doing anything. All right, here's how we're sitting. What was meant to be an oil leak fix has turned into got to pull part of the transmission apart to fix the parking brake assembly that came apart in the process of trying to fix the oil leak. My bad. So we got a manual, and it's a service manual, so we can see what needs to be done. I gotta start peeling apart the drive lines in the front and the back. I gotta take a bunch of these hydraulic lines off, the steel lines. I gotta take this whole big, it's like a drop box. There's just a bunch of big gears in here that take the power from the transmission, which is actually up there, down to here, and the parking brake's right inside here. Take this all apart, get this giant piece of cast cover off so I can get inside to then get to where the parking brake components are, to then fix it, put it back together how it should be, and then reassemble all this. It's very unfortunate that this is even an issue. We should not have gone on this road, but in the process of trying to insert this shaft, there's a piece in there that it's like a fork, and it slides a collar back and forth, which locks your transmission up and or your drive lines. And it got off alignment a little bit. We couldn't get the shaft to go through, so in the process of trying to line it up, stuck a screwdriver in there and turned it, and it fell the other direction. And then when that happened, we tried to remove the detent that holds that arm in place so it can click back and forth a little bit, and it caused the whole arm to fall upside down and into the bottom of the pan. And there's no access covers to get in there other than the front of this thing. I am not looking forward to this. But you guys might be. Let's get to work. See, normally you have the whole entire transmission, and that's the drop box here, that's what I was just pointing at, out on a stand where you can use an actual crane to lift that cover off. And we're going to try to remove that cover with the transmission still in the loader because we don't have the means to pull it out right in here because, well, it's in the wrong side of the shop because that's taking up the side of the shop we need to be able to lift the cab up to get to the transmission. We don't have a pit to drop the transmission in. And I can't drive that loader right now, too, because, well, it's out of fluid because the transmission hoses are all off and the parking brake's messed up, and I don't want to drive it with that like that. Right here, that's part of the piece I got to fix, and then this right here. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a little horseshoe-looking piece. Has little brass adapters that attach to that collar that slides back and forth. This is what went flip, clunk to the bottom of the transmission. Good stuff. All right, ready to see the next layer. There's some big old sprockets. They look good. Teeth look good. All that is just a drop box. It's just transfer energy from that shaft there down to that shaft down there to go to the drive lines. So these two are just idlers basically. They just freeze.
And it slows it down RPM because that's a bigger one or smaller
small,
one, big,
big,
small,
small.
big. So it runs it down.
Reduces
to,
it.
Yep.
So we've got to get this sprocket out to get access to the opening to fix our problem that we created in the very beginning. The only problem is we got to make sure, we probably better take all the sprockets off, because if one of those fell, that would be a bad day. I don't know if these just slide off. I feel like it's kind of on there. All right. Progress. That's good. Glad to see that thing off. It's funner to put back together than it is to take it apart, right? Well, that sprocket is just sliding on the
It's going to slide the whole gear out.
Yeah. That part, it must be pressed onto it. This one's a little heavier. So this is the reduction gear. This is the lower output gear. Get some grit. Have to clean all these up before we put them back in. There she is. Look at that shaft. Wow. Now that the shaft's out, I'm going to take, it's a retainer, bearing retainer on the back here that's got the seal pressed in it. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that out because the seal most likely was already leaking a little bit to begin with. So if we can get it and hopefully find one, the other seal in the front we're having difficulty locating. I've called around, we just can't seem to get the numbers to match anything, so maybe we'll just have to do a measurement and see if somebody can find a seal that's similar. But this back one, it really needs to be replaced too, with all the movement of the seal going, or the shaft going out. But I gotta try to get this off. It's all oily and greasy, but if I can get in there and get it out, that's one step closer to getting this thing sealed up tight so it doesn't leak oil anymore. Because you know, this has been quite an extensive job just to fix an oil leak. So here's the bearing retainer, and this is the seal that was sitting in there. And numbers don't match anything again, but we'll run it in and go to a parts store, and then they can check the dimensions of it and look their book. And usually there's a seal that can work. It's just different numbers, different brand. So we'll find out soon. My arm should be back any second now with the other seal because he just got done doing that. Hey, there we go. We got it. Yeah. Here's another one. There we go. That there is the culprit that we've been fighting for. And we need to clean the inside of that out. There's a bunch of junk that got in there in this whole process. Let's see if I can get this out of here. There we go. There's that piece. That's the parking brake lock. That piece is in here. No, there's no way. This is the piece that flipped. And here are the little brass. Oh, these things are pretty wore. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just how they look. I mean, where's the other one at? There's got to be two in here.
They're going to be wore a little bit.
Huh. There's only one. Where's the other one at? Another dowel of some type. Huh. What do those go to? Nothing in there. All right. We need to wash all this out. Okay. So this here is what flipped in the process. That shaft that had the seal on it that was leaking originally was supposed to go through here. And it tipped to the side. We couldn't get to go through. So in the process of trying to tip it straight so the shaft would fit through, it tipped too far the other way. And then when we took the detent out, which is presses into these two, then the whole unit fell down and flopped in the bottom of the transmission. And that is the brake right there. So when you put the parking brake on, these teeth right here lock into this right here, like so. That's what keeps the parking brake on. So that's pretty cool to see. It's a solid iron parking brake. So these are the little guides that pull that collar back and forth that sets the brake. And as you can see, they originally were that wide, and now they've worn down to that much. This one's actually better than the other one, but they're getting fairly wore. And to try to source something like this right now in this day and age from a loader from the late 70s, it'd be really difficult. So Dad is going to braze with the auction settling torch here, brass on it, and try to build it back up again, and then lightly grind it down to the size it was, and then hopefully then that'll last a long time and put some life back into them. So about all we can do right now, but Sometimes things like that work. Sometimes they don't, but you won't know because it's gonna be buried inside that thing. And hopefully every time we pull that parking brake, it goes in and goes out. That's where it's machined down. So before and after. Cool. One more to go. Well, as we're getting closer to putting this thing back together again, I'm gonna start the process of cleaning everything up because you can't just slap it back together. You gotta make sure everything is nice and clean before you put gasket sealer on stuff because otherwise it'll leak again. These are the old gaskets. It's what you press the two whatever chunks of iron together, your oil pan to engine block or a cover or whatever it may be. Gaskets are essential for keeping liquids inside your engine or your transmission or whatever gearbox thing you might have. But they're also very stuck on the original thing. So I've got an air tool right here that I use air chisel, and I'm just working myself around all the covers, and I'm gonna get a wire brush and clean it up really good. And same with the casting on the transmission. And then start washing and flushing the bottom of that thing out to get all the particles out of it that might have fell in there when we were doing everything. And I think we're gonna start assembling this thing back together today. We won't have the seals today, but we'll get at least at almost 80% put back together again. So that'd feel really good. Howdy. We just got the parking brake shaft in, and it went through that bracket and it's in the hole, and so I don't have the snap ring in yet, but we're just now assembling everything inside. There's not a lot of room for a camera. Actually, I don't think I can get room there. So we'll just have to give you updates as we go, but we just got it in, so we're good. Oh,
Here's the detent.
we're gonna put the detent in now. So I won't mess that up this time. Like, is it in the right spot?
Now it should be.
The detent's...
That's brake. Okay, yeah. It's.
Okay, so
I can feel the two positions.
It's in all the way. I'll need to
So
tighten
this is release. It's in release right now.
You want it in the brake mode. So
Brake mode. Okay, there it is. I can feel it go back and forth like that and lock. So, and then here's these ears we rebuilt that will slide in here like that, and then the gear assembly will go up in there.
Does it help if I put light in there like that?
Oh, that's not too bad. I can get it. Okay, you slide it through. Okay. So that is just a kind of a safety precaution.
Okay.
So it can't just fall down. So when we put the metal plate in the front, we can guide it in there.
Okay.
I've been working on this thing tirelessly for about 3 days now. Let's put this thing in.
Liar.
I maybe stretch the truth a little bit.
Ready for the shaft. Okay, now this guy.
Going in.
I go one more tooth over. You're off a tooth. There you go, like that. Yep, that's it right there.
Lift it up a little bit.
Oh, there's off tooth.
I mean, I don't know if it really matters a
No.
tooth,
I don't think it
but
does.
as long as we got, it won't matter if there's a tooth off.
Do you want to put stuff on it first?
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry about that.
Put some gasket sealer on her. The back of the thing is finally buttoned up. We got the seals in today. One was right, one was wrong. So the right one's gonna be here tomorrow. I won't be here, but was able to get the back all put together, drive lines all hooked up, new hydraulic line where the one was leaking. So basically all we got left is just the seal here, put the cover on, put the yoke on, hook the drive line up, and then fill it up with fluid. And by rights, it should be good to go as long as nothing's leaking. And if something's leaking, I don't want to be there to see it. So anyways, it'll be wrapped up soon. Get her back into playing in the dirt or the snow, because the big snow's coming. January. It'll be here soon enough. Well, today's the day. It's been well over a week. And a couple wrong seals sent. Some got lost in transit, but we finally found the replacement for this one. Right here. So I can get that back together, get that front drive line on, fill that loader up with some oil, pray nothing leaks in the ground, and run it out of the building. And then we'll have this bay back open to do some more stuff, because we got a lot more stuff we need to do in this area, like the car hoist. But it's cold, there's a lot going on. Let's get to work, get this loader together.